Garen Emig and Bill Haisten, a couple of columnists with things to both write and talk about from the Tulsa world, spending some time with you here today. And gosh, Bill, a new year and a bunch of new things to talk about. A lot of news pouring through related to some mostly football, but spilling over now into basketball as we're about to end the football season. You got an interesting golf column that's coming to the Tuesday edition. We've got high school news. High school football season's long since expired, but we still have big high school news with Josh Blankenship hiring at Broken Arrow. Let's start with before the games play. Let's start with a quick prediction. Does Ohio State make it interesting tonight against Alabama?
Yeah, I believe they will. And I was blown away by Ohio State last week. Absolutely staggered by how beautifully they played and the way they attacked and just never never relented all day against Trevor Lawrence. And I mean, that was my lock of the week. I picked Clemson. I just thought that all I've heard about Ohio State for half a season is how they've taken a big step back defensively in the back seven, and their coverage just isn't what it should be. And then Justin Fields, wasn't great during the regular season for most of it. And then he comes out and he's amazing. And defensively, they were amazing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm still expecting Alabama to win by 10-14. But, it reminds me of 2014, kind of Ohio State kind of came out of nowhere with Ezekiel Elliott and got all that momentum and won that championship in the first playoff. And so you got to watch it because there is that great possibility. In my mind, going in anyway, there's a lot greater possibility that Ohio State wins this year than Cleveland going to Pittsburgh last night and beating the Steelers for the second week in a row. I didn't see that coming.
No, wasn't that fun? And how great a story is it that not just to see an Oklahoma quarterback do well and succeed in Baker Mayfield, but an flagship organization that has been so downtrodden for so long.
Yep.
Find the right coach, right? Even in the NFL, which is supposed to be a players' league, coaching matters. That's the lesson, I think, from Kevin Stefanski. And now you wonder just how far the Browns can take it. I take it the Chiefs are still your pick in the AFC, but maybe Cleveland makes this interesting before it's over.
Well, Cleveland already has made it interesting just by being around for the second weekend. But I remember seeing Kevin Stefanski do a live shot the week he got the job with Scott Van Pelt. Mm-hmm. Van Pelt's out there. So, and I remember thinking, wow, he's seen, because, Freddie Kitchens just wasn't very presidential, right? And
right.
It seemed such an odd fit, and it wound up being an odd fit with Freddie Kitchens. And then they bring in this Kevin Stefanski guy from Detroit. He was so impressive and so measured, mm-hmm. but yet, not robotic. And I thought, we'll see, but this guy really made a great first impression. You're right. I mean, is coaching the end all? It's probably 51% of the reason why a team has a nice season, right? Because you can't just you've got to have some organization. You got to have a plan. You got to have players too. And now they finally seem to have that combination: adult leadership, great football acumen, and Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett, and just a heck of a roster. I was just absolutely dumbstruck last night watching them get to that big lead. And then every time I thought, here come the Steelers, Cleveland would get a pick six or run one back or make a big play. So it was a really impressive first playoff game for Baker Mayfield and really a great bounce back season for Baker Mayfield.
Sure was. So the NFL plays on again, college football down to just the one game. And Bill, before we leave the sport we spend 90% of our time on as columnists, do you share the opinion that maybe the proper emotion at the finish line of 2020 in terms of college football is relief? Is that the right way to put it? That we all, and not just coaches, players, and administrators, but media in our case, sort of got through it.
I know. No, I would say for me, it's equal parts relief and disbelief that they got it done.
Mm-hmm.
Every NFL game got played, all of them. Now they were playing games on Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and all over the place. And you know, I forgot. I think as we speak, believe it or not, Garen, we're at 92%. Now this is basketball, but with college basketball, as we speak, 92% of all scheduled major college games have been played so far.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty good batting average. You look, obviously, we all want 100%. We all want to get beyond this, but 92%. In basketball, I don't know what the percentage wound up being in football. There was like 130 cancellations, I think, across the country. Poor TU had about half of them. No, for me, that's what it is. Because, I mean, obviously, midsummer, early summer, we hoped for football,
right?
But I wasn't very confident, especially when guys started coming back to school and you see all these test reports,
right?
And testing reports, and it seemed pretty dire. So to have gotten to the finish line tonight with a championship in the college level, and to get into the NFL weekend 2 of the postseason with not having not one cancellation of a game, postponements, but no cancellations. So I'm pretty astounded, I got to say.
And now we pivot to college basketball, and I got to be honest, it's been hard enough to keep track of the comings and goings in football that I really haven't outside of a few games. I've not immersed myself at all in either Oklahoma State, or Tulsa, or Oral Roberts for that matter when it comes to college hoops. Top of your head, is there one interesting storyline you're looking at following now that we're putting football away and we actually will really dive a little harder into basketball, college basketball?
I've made it a point to watch every Cade Cunningham game, either live or a replay, because he's a short timer and he's a great player and he's really interesting. And he is what they say he is. He's the guy who makes everybody around him better. And he will be a great NBA player because all these beautiful plays he makes for teammates, where OSU may be converting on 40% of those opportunities, NBA guys are going to convert on a lot higher percentages of those. And he's going to be a playmaker, a phenomenal playmaker at the NBA level. From a team standpoint, I got to say probably the team I'm currently most intrigued by is Tulsa. And I think they're that close, Garen, for me to believing that this is the best Tulsa team since Bill Self's recruited guys finished in 03. I think this is now this team doesn't shoot the ball great, but they got cool heads. They handled their last 2 road wins, Garen. They never trailed.
Mm-hmm.
They never trailed. I mean, they manage stressful sequences really well. They seem to what you want. You hear coaches talk about playing 4 minutes at a time, right? Play from one media timeout to the next, and just win that chunk, and then win the next one and the next one. TU really does that. So they play at Wichita State Wednesday night. They got their butts kicked real hard at Wichita State last year.
Right.
So if they go to Wichita State, granted, it's not the environment that it typically is, but if they can go to Wichita State and win another road game, which would be 3 in a row over pretty quality opponents in the American, then I'm really going to be of the belief that Frank Hayes got his best team, and Tulsa's best team in 17 years.
That's not Greg Marshall either.
18 years.
Yeah. It's not the traditional frenzied crowd at the Roundhouse, and it's also not Greg Marshall coaching the Shockers anymore. We have to remind ourselves of that, right? That on top of everything else that happened last year and all of the weird stuff that went screwy, so did Greg Marshall's tenure with the Shockers. Hey, real quick before we get out of here, not often that we have golf news in January, but this is something that you're writing about for the world and are on top of. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with Southern Hills and the PGA.
Well, I mean, last night the PGA of America. Now, over the weekend there were from the top golf writers across the country. There were cries of there were appeals to the PGA of America to strip the 2022 PGA Championship away from a Trump-owned property in New Jersey, Trump National in New Jersey. So, Garen, that's only 16 months away, that tournament. And I thought, well, why would Southern Hills not be the automatic no-brainer of a choice for 22? Because you already have all the machinery and all the people right here getting ready for the senior PGA championship this year, right? So just you got boots on the ground here already. The PGA does. So leave them here and just give these people a week off after the senior championship and bring them back and just resume and sell it and plan it and conduct the championship right here next year. It seems to me to be the easiest of all options for 22, which would move Tulsa up from 2030 in the championship order to 2022. Listen, Southern Hills won't comment on it. Southern Hills officially won't even acknowledge that it's a possibility, but I know that Southern Hills also kind of realizes that this is a possibility, and it ain't a 1% reach of a possibility. This could really happen. So it's just something to keep an eye on.
All right. You've got that. You riding from Bedlam Hoops next weekend? Is that right?
Saturday, yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's in Stillwater. It is Stillwater, isn't it? Gets round one. So that'll be interesting. Shockers and Hurricane Wednesday, I think. I'm trying to get my calendar set. And
I got to say, I went to see ORU Friday night, and after having written about Max Asmus, and he has a tough game that night, they lose that night to North Dakota. They come back and win Saturday over North Dakota, and Paul Mills has his best team. So I think this next few weeks, after we kind of really get beyond football and really get more plugged into basketball, I think we've got 4 interesting teams here in the state.
All right, so we'll try to write interestingly about it. He's Bill. I'm Garen. Thanks for reading and tuning in. Have a good week.